Got it. Got it.
Hello everyone. We are just having a chat before, that's why we are laughing. Well, right now you can't see us because you will be listening to us.
Mm-hmm.
So, welcome everyone to the 28th episode of the Divine Mess.
Ah,
So, we have
okay.
been showing up for 29 weeks, technically, uh,
Mm-hmm.
every single week, and it has been absolutely a pleasure, to share that spot with my co-host, who will introduce herself a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
So, by the way, my name is Kirtideva Peruman. I'm the CEO and founder of the Heroes Mystic, where we help you to face your inner demons, have the courage to ignite your inner hero, and just balance your divine masculine and feminine energies. And for the first time listeners, this is the Divine Mess where we have fun conversation every single week about different topics based on our experience. And every single week, I get the chance to share my spot with my lovely co-host, who is an Iron Man, right? That's what she said.
No,
I'm
I'm
joking.
in love with an Iron Man. Let's say that. Good morning, everybody. I'm Tina Marie, and after having conversations with my gorgeous co-host next to me, I don't have a label today. I'm not wearing one. I'm just me. I'm bloody good at what I do, and if you want to find out what I do, message me and see for yourself. Because I'm sick to death of trying to stick. I'm a business coach. I'm a this coach. I'm a that coach. I'm a mentor. You know what? I'm just me. And if you want to sit in the brilliance that is my intuitive downloads, come find me. And for episode 28 today, I would say there's no rules. We're going to talk about no rules, because when we put rules or boundaries or barriers around ourselves or boxes, we tend to fuck ourselves up. So, my question for you all today is where have you put a box around yourself? Because I've been experiencing it this week, because other people have stuck me in a box of their own making and I've allowed it. And so I'm like, no, and change that shit up because it doesn't work for me anymore. It's getting nearer to 50 is putting the fierce in the nearly 50, in going, you know what? I don't have to live like you want me to. I don't have to look the way you want me to. I'm just going to be me. And if it doesn't work for you, please just say so. Go find another cup of tea somewhere else. That would be my thoughts and feelings this morning. So what about you, Mr. Dover?
Well, I feel that we have been living in a box from the day we were born. Like for me, I'm remembering my house. It looked like a box, right? But it was a box full of love, though. Don't get me wrong. There are different kind of box, but it feels like, even because when you were telling about the box, I was like imagining like my TV, like it's already a box and people tend to look at that all the time. Like that's the escape. It's looking
Mm-hmm.
into the box. If we are using that term. And about the rules as well, I was a rule breaker all my life, I feel. Uh, yeah, I was never good with rules. My parents for sure can tell you a lot of stories about that. They remember a lot more than I do, but I just remember more
We should
that
have Ruby and Raven on the podcast.
uh, we are going to remove that thought. Please delete that thought. Yeah. That will be a fun conversation to have. But
We
I feel all our life we have been put in a box, like in terms of our thinking, in terms of our education, and how people tell you things. It's like limited things, and and there's always that expression about those who broke the rule, you know, like I'm thinking like in terms of like Elon Musk or Steve Jobs. They were always known as guys who thought outside of the box. And that's the difference, I feel, because they trust into that vision, you know, like you were talking about, no label for you. Because I feel that's so you, like just being you is out already outside of that labeling, you know, because I feel that whenever you go to those like networking or any events or any coaching event, it's like you have to say, first question is like, what do you do? And it's like, well, you can find more if you want to have a chat of 1 hour, not just 5 minutes or 1 minute introduction. And I feel that's already putting us in a box when you say just that sentence. For example, we know in our business term, there's the elevator pitch that we have to work on and we need to work on all the
It's got to
time. It's 60
refine it, and it's 60 seconds, and it's got to be who you are and how you help people and how you do it differently and you know, and all the stuff. And
yeah, and it's always
it's making people one-faceted, right? And we're not one-faceted. We are multi-layered, multi-leveled. Even if you haven't discovered those other facets of yourself yet, it's what we are. And by sticking that one face towards, or face fronting for all the people that are looking at you, a lot of us are hiding behind that, you know, this is my label, or I'm just a mum, you know, or I'm just wife, or, you know, I'm just a bookkeeper, or, you know, I'm a stay-at-home mum. Like, no. What are you passionate about? What do you love? You know, do you love to read? Do you love to play the guitar? Do you love to sing in the shower? What do you love to do? Or have you not given yourself the opportunity to discover what those things are, because we're putting everybody else's needs first?
I feel that moms, especially, they are not given that opportunity to think about themselves. They are not given that time, that freedom in a way to spend time with themselves. And once the kid is like the empty nesters, you know, like once the kid leave is like, who am I?
Yeah.
What sorry, what can I do now? What should I do?
But I don't think it's any different for dads, right? Because we have this societal box that we put them in, and we say that they must be the breadwinners and they've got to have all the answers, and they're the strong and they can hold it all together. And when do we as women give men the space and the opportunity to be emotional and vulnerable and soft and not have all the answers, and to simply give them time to discover who they are, or what it means to be a man? Like, I think in Western culture particularly, we don't have any of these rites of passage. I know, you know, in the Maori culture and, you know, the Indian culture and, you know, Norse, all of those types of cultures, there are rites of passage that young men and, you know, preteen, post-teen and, you know, mid-20s get to go through in order to assert themselves or to separate themselves out from the rest of the pack, to know what they have. You know, all these physical tests and emotional tests, it teaches them about what they have inside of them. But for Western culture, our kids are not put through things that are emotionally, you know, we're not dumping them out in the middle of the bush for 2 days and go, no internet, kid, off you go, no internet and no phone, see if you can find your way home. I'm sure most mothers and most fathers would actually really like to do that with their teenage children. But we don't do that. We don't put our kids in those sorts of testing situation. My kids, when I said to them that they needed to operate the dishwasher and the washing machine, that I was no longer their maid, was just like, oh my God, you what? Like, if you can operate a phone, you can operate these other devices in the house. It's simply because I am shaped this way does not make me the sole person responsible for all of these duties. So, I think it's on both sides. So, we as women don't own enough of ourselves to say, no, that's not okay, and no, that's not acceptable behavior. And I'm taking time for myself to discover what my passions and, the things that light me up and excite me, because, there is a pressure that because you're a mother to a new bubba or little people, even teenagers, mum's got all the answers. Mum knows everything. Where mum's just shrinking on the inside going, holy fuck, how fast can I Google to find out what's going on? Not only with yourself, because you're transitioning, as much as your teenagers are transitioning, or even your little people transition through hormonal phases, so are we. We're transitioning into that next season of our life that brings all sorts of joys and wonders. And we don't know what's happening, and we're going to medical professionals and asking for help. They don't know what's going on. They've got no idea. And it's not until you meet people that explain things to you in really, really simple terms. My new trainer that I'm working with, she went, Tina, it's really simple. This is what you need to do. And I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. And it is, and it's working, and it's effective, and it's like, oh my God, I've just found a new lease on life. And because you found this sort of holy grail of perimenopause, the whole bit, you want to go and share it with everybody. And everybody looks at you like you're stupid, like it can't be that easy. I'm like, yeah, it really is that easy. But it's, I think for most people, it's taking time to invest in yourself, but being able to listen to yourself when your body's saying, this is right and this is not. We don't give ourselves that opportunity, so we're quite willing for someone to say, you need to pop in this box and you need to take HRT, or you need to take antidepressants, or you need to take whatever it is to make your life seem more even and smooth. Life isn't even and smooth. We have to ride the waves, as we've spoken about in so many episodes. It's our test as we're going through every season of our life. There's tests.
It is.
We can't avoid them, but most people, this is the problem. Everybody wants it to be smooth and easy and lovely and joyous and happy all the time. And yes, it should be peppered in with emotional challenges and physical challenges and upsets and big emotions and little emotions and all the stuff in between. You can't not have it all, like it's a mix. It's just a mix.
Yeah. It's just like the quote that says a smooth sea never made a skilled sailor.
No.
It never
Correct.
does. And that's so true. And I'm just taking on, you were talking about like hormonal change. Like I feel like there's a study that talk about men as well having a drop in their testosterone level every like 30 to 35 days as well. So there's that study on men as well, which people are not aware of. Just letting you know, like this November, it's Men's Mental Health Month, and it's not talked about. The only thing that you can see about that is like you can sign up for a 60K that I saw. Like you can do like 60K either run or walk or something just to support mental health. And
Mm.
that's it. And there's
Mm.
no talk about that much, which is sad. Like I feel that's so sad. And one of my friend was telling me that actually at work, what they did is, like how for women for the cancer they had like these rose, I don't know how you call that. Like it was pink ribbon,
Oh
pink
yeah,
ribbon.
Pink Ribbon Month. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So what they did is like they did one for the guys, and the guys were so surprised that they received gift, and they were like praised. What they did was actually they wrote letters of appreciation to like random. You were given random person, and it was like among your team members, but it was specifically to the men. Like the female co-workers wrote letters. It was like anonymous. They didn't know from where it came from, but it was letters of appreciation for how they see them every day, how they support them in their work, and the men couldn't believe it. It was for some of them, it was way too much. Like never ever they heard someone praise them.
Mm.
So this tell you about the box that the society we support in a way like we like if you look at YouTube for example or TikTok, there's always a blow up on like viral, videos going viral for those people who fail, like in terms of something funny happened to them, people
Mm-hmm.
find it funny, and those are the videos that go viral. But someone who is like successful, that doesn't go viral. That someone is not praised for that. They will just say the only reason it can go viral is like people will comment and say he's lucky or she's lucky, but they don't see the iceberg behind that. They don't see how much work was put into that, how much belief and faith and doubters there was out there. Still, they made it through. Yeah, but I find it interesting that in terms of men as well, like we are not taught how to communicate our emotions. We are not allowed to feel. We are supposed to be protecting all the time, which is an instinct as well from us. But it
Mm.
doesn't mean we can't communicate our feelings. And there was one video that a girl videoed, like she was in a car and she was like starting with like, what the fuck, guys? Like, I can't believe that, like I told my boyfriend that he's allowed to share his emotion, and he just stared at me and he didn't know what to say next. And then he started sharing, and then it was like, a roller coaster, like just going on. And he was like tearing as well.
Mm.
And people comment was about that guy being a girl. People didn't even support that the fact that the man like actually shared his emotion. He was being laughed at. And that's how the society box you up. And that's why guy won't share their emotion, like they won't show up and say, because they are going to be called like a girl. And you
Yeah.
see so many movies. There was actually one movie who one of the actors refused to say a line because he found it sexist, because it was like about laughing and calling one of his co-actors like in the scene, like she fat shaming her, and he refused to say that line.
Mm.
And even like men in the filming industry, they would say like they would find it really hard to cry, to show their emotion, because they are supposed to be strong. So strong is equivalent to not showing your emotion, and
But
that's
it's
how it
it's not a
is.
good equivalent, right? Because when my boys are 3 years apart, and when my second son was born, I bought a baby doll for my 3-year-old at the time, who's now 19, and probably wouldn't be caught with a baby dolly tucked under his arm. But at the time, I copped a lot of flack for giving him a baby to care and nurture for. to teach the soft skills, so to speak, in loving your baby and making sure that their nappy was changed and dressing them and carrying them and loving them and being careful with them. And the same doll got used again for my baby when he was a little boy. He was a little bit rougher, bless him, but still loved to push his baby around in the pram and, are you all right, baby? And are you hungry? And would you like a bottle? And, and I think the amount of shit that I copped for making sure that my two boys knew how to care for an infant, while they were watching me with their, my nieces and nephews. It's like, well, this is an important skill that needs to be embedded young into babies, into little humans, to take care of their next generation. But if we don't give them an opportunity to be loving and caring, what are we going to get? And we're seeing evidence of that now. Like you say, young men don't know how to express themselves. They hold themselves back. And even with my two boys, I find that they are hesitant at times to be able to share that. And I'm like, dude, there's no judgment here. Let it all go. Like if you want to have a crack at me about how shit your last 7 years of your life's been, go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it. I'm willing to listen. I'm not going to justify my actions, but at the same time, I'm willing to listen to what's going on. And simply because you're a guy doesn't mean that I'm not going to sit here and hold space for you and allow you to be sad or happy or angry or frustrated or whatever it happens to be. Don't put a box in them and expect them to be stoic and hard and men all the time. They're allowed to be emotional and express that in a way that's healthy. I don't want my boys expressing emotions in a way that is unhealthy through alcohol or driving recklessly or, spending time with the wrong people my parents don't care about me. Well, no, bugger off, because that's not true. But it is too, it's their way of being able to process things. But we've always spoken about alcohol, drugs, sex, driving fast, all being emotional crutches for not being able to deal with the stuff that we are dealing with on a daily basis. So, just helping them have an awareness. I think it's helping other people, that's what you and I do best, is helping people have an awareness of, those light bulb moments, those brilliant moments where we go, sheesh. Yeah, could have been doing that better.
But it's until you're willing to do the work, like we say that in every single episode, I feel. And there was one podcast that I follow, it's called The Men Project, and they talk a lot about men's mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about that. It's both, there was one episode where there were another, he worked with men as well, a coach who worked with men, and he was saying like, until like men, like I feel it's every individual, not just men, that you're willing to open up and to be vulnerable, to be say it's okay not to be okay, like saying those things like and be open to change, to be uncomfortable, to feel it sticky, to say, oh, that's really like feel like crap or like shit, like that's not working at all, and to be open to say that. And the guy was saying like when he started to share those to his partner, his partner at that time, but now it's his wife, and he says like his relationship changed so much by just being vulnerable. But he grew up with a message like you should not communicate your feeling to women because it's a sign of weakness. And then he said like the day he started to work on himself and being open, but he learned how to communicate his emotion healthily. And that's the difference because it's about learning how you can communicate them healthily in the way you're expressing. Maybe like when you're feeling, for example, angry and just say like, look, give me some time, some space, some days or whatever it is to just cool down and just come back and have a sit down and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying that because his wife was that kind of person that want to solve it right away. But he was the opposite. He want to take time to cool down and then come back later. So they had to sit down and say, this is how I operate. Like, this is how I am. This is who I am. Like, I need time. I need a couple of hours. You don't need to stress to go crazy that I'm
Doesn't mean
MIA
the
or
end of our
something.
relationship or something's all
Yeah,
going pear-shaped. No, it's not.
it's not like I'm leaving you or going to someone else. No, it means that maybe I need to go to the gym. I'm just speaking in terms of this guy, right? I'm just giving that example. Maybe he needs to go to the gym and just call a friend and just say, this is what's happening,
Yeah.
and just need to vent out, right? And because I listen a lot to different podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one woman as well who was saying like she was talking about the women in relationship as well and saying about how sometimes they don't give space to their men to express. They just assume quickly or just judge quickly. And men as well are guilty of that. They think like, oh, this is what she's thinking, this is what he's thinking, but we don't actually know. Like we never know. And
There's
people say
no
that,
TV screen, right? There's no
yeah,
TV screen on the front of the head, so you can't possibly understand what's going on in somebody else's
yeah,
head. And mind you, I'm not really sure everybody would like the TV screen people's heads because
yeah, yeah,
it might reveal a little bit more than what their faces and their body language is giving away.
yeah. Those stories that we don't say out loud, those scary thoughts. But when we go really deep into those stories, that's where we find our healing. That's where we are more vulnerable. And I feel that if you have a partner and you're able to share that, you are at that level where you can communicate healthily. That
Yeah,
tells a lot about how each other you have done your work on yourself.
yeah,
For me, that come down to that. It's not about just learning. It's not about just going to a couple counselor and just working it out and just doing the homework, but it's working on yourself and just like saying, this is the stories I'm not saying. This is the stories I'm avoiding. And
yeah.
I've been reading Happy Days by Gabby Bernstein this week. And she started off with that. Like, what are your triggers? Like, what are your emotion? What are the situations that are triggering you? And what are the stories you're avoiding? And I feel that's a common theme, like to ask yourself, because before the podcast, we were talking about that, like, what are the stories we're not telling to the world? For me, it's more, what are the stories you're not saying out loud to you? What are the stories you're not willing to hear out loud that you're keeping in your mind? But if we put the TV screen, it's like, ooh, that's scary. Did you think about that? Are you serious? Like,
Well, there's so many things that I think go through your head, and you're immediately trying to filter. Well, for me, it's sort of like this, like a farm gate that lets the sheep in and out. Yes, no, yes, yes, no. As to, things that I'm looking at and how intensely do I want to pursue something, and why? And my coach said a really good thing to me last week. She said, there's a certain aspect to my human design chart that gets me passionate and fired up about other people's causes without me really recognizing it. Is it my passion to pursue? You know, because I'm in a situation at the moment where I'm extremely passionate to help people. But when I'm putting that lens on it, going, oh, I don't think that's my wheelbarrow to push. You know, I don't think that that's, or what happens if I put that level of intensity and passion into my own projects and the things that I want to birth and create? What does it look like? You know, because for so long I've been trying to put my coaching in a box, so that, like when David said, when you go to these business handshaking, get to know you kind of speed dating on for business, essentially, putting a box around what it is I do. But when we dabble in so many aspects of, we're chameleon-esque, I would say, in terms of how the things we utilize and the techniques that we use and our abilities to put it together and to try and wrap it up like a Tiffany ring box, I think is doing it a disservice. That by doing that, we're making ourselves smaller than what we actually should be. When we have such capacity to take up such a huge amount of space and to be so much bigger, but for so long, like David said, you know, societally, we've been put in a box of, you're the first child, you're the eldest sister, now you're the first child to get married, now you're a wife, oh, now you're a couple, you know, now you're a woman struggling to fall pregnant, oh, now you're a mother. Okay, so all of these things put you in a box. Oh, now you're separated, now you're the Scarlet Woman, now you're divorced, oh, now you're looking online for love, oh, isn't that lovely? You know, and now you're a person in a relationship. So when are you guys getting married? You know, are you going to have another baby? Fuck no, I've got 4 children, I ain't having another baby. But do you see what I mean? Like, everybody, it makes other people feel comfortable to put you in their jigsaw puzzle of their life and going, where does she fit? Or where does what she does, how can I make that work in my own brain or in my own toolbox? What part of the shelf do I put her on, that when I listen to someone and go, oh, this word's pinged in my head, or this sentence is pinged for me, oh, you need to go and have a chat with, or you need to go and do this with, because it makes sense for people. But jam that, I don't want to be in a box anymore. That sucks.
Maybe you could be like the fiery goddess who ignite that spark in people's project or in their passion.
Just like, come on, people, let's get excited about life.
Yeah.
You know,
maybe
so
you could be
at the
that
moment
igniter.
I don't have a label. I'm label-less. I'm going to see how that works for me for a little.
I find it exciting because
not a androgynous like that I know it works for some people, but for me, it's like I'm very definitive. But whatever works for you works for you. But in terms of a job description or any sort of label other than my name, even that to an extent has a label attached to it. So, it must be very nice to get given a new name, Mr. Dava. You could possibly explain that.
Yeah, I was given so by my spiritual guru, I was given a new name. For me, it happened like 23 years ago now. So I was still young when it happened. I didn't understand the meaning of it. I just knew I was changing my name. So all my what my birth certificate had to be changed. Because at that time in Mauritius we had something well, it's a national exam for when you leave primary to go to secondary, you have a national exam to determine again which school, the best student go to the best school. So boxing again. So I didn't care because I never learned at that time. So my mom was going crazy about that I was not revising at all. And I still remember, I think on the eve of one exam, I was going to a wedding and I was having so much fun. So I didn't revise and I just went to a national exam like this. And after I did that, I think after 3 months we had to change the name. So we had to go through all that stuff of changing name, and I didn't know that. For me, what I understand, the name is based for our culture. It's based on the day you're born, even the planets, how it's position, the meaning. I feel it's linked to your destiny as well, in a way, destiny, if you believe in that, or what you're meant to do, or you can change that as well if you want. Like mine was so Kirtideva means God of light, and like Peruman means God of gods in a way. Uh, so it changed a bit. Like Deva as well mean angel or God if you want. So I was given that name based on the planet and position and time,
And
location,
what were
all of
you
that.
before?
Oh, my name was Ruben Rade. Yeah, I don't know if you can say that. It sounds weird to say it in English. Yeah. So it didn't have much meaning, and I didn't use that name. I remember when I came to New Zealand, I was still using Ruben. So most of my friends in Mauritius will still call me Ruben. Like they still do. Like they will nickname it and say Whoop, but it came like my mom name because my mom's name is Ruby as well, so it's like the first three letters. But if you say it in English, it sounds like rub, which is not good. So, which is
Not
weird.
sure you want to
Which
pull that one out on a first date, mate.
no, no. But I feel that it was good to change that name because there was a lot of positive effect when I adopted like fully the name because I was given that name 23 years ago, but I use it only in the last 5 years. So I never used that before because even if I was still telling people my name is Ruben all the time. So that's why most people in Mauritius know me by that name.
Mm,
So they will call me that.
mm,
Still
mm,
now,
mm.
it never changed. But when I did embrace my name, I saw a lot of change. And I remember one of my mentors told me like, you have to embrace your name because you were given that for a purpose, and that's linked to your purpose. And I know in the Western culture it's different, but for us it's like you're given the first letter of possible names, and you can choose from a list based on the uh, when the baby is born. So what
Oh,
happens is like you're given a list and you can choose from a possible name, whether it's a boy or a girl, and you can choose. and based on the time and date, then you will given that list, and you can go to your priest if you want to call that, and
Mm-hmm.
then you'll get that. For me, I go to my spiritual guru, and we are given that list. For me, I will just given that name, so I didn't have a list. Yeah,
No list to choose from.
yeah, but there is not. I tried to Google that name when I first used it, if there was like many people using it. Not many actually. Yeah, it's very rare that you will be called that, but there's a special purpose to that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, for me, that name is important now. Like I do take pride in that, a lot of pride in that, which was different before, like
Oh, I'm
23
sure
years
it
ago,
was.
definitely.
It's like,
Definitely not,
oh,
because I was still trying to figure out how to say it back then. So that's why I didn't use it as
yep.
much. Because if you use just the first, like Kirti, it's a girl's name. Most it's a mostly a girl name. So that's why I
Right.
never used that.
Yeah.
Because in India you will hear a lot of Kirti. So like here in New Zealand, they will change it to Kitty, which is not good. It's like a calling a cat's name, and I'm like, no, no, thank you. Yeah. So that can be changed a lot, and I feel that's a labeling again that people assume that like the first part of the name. Like when I have Indian clients, they will assume that I would be a woman. Like they would assume because based on the first part of my name. But
Right.
then
So
they
when
will
they
see
get
the
you on a
picture.
Zoom and they go, oh, that's not what
Yeah,
we
yeah.
expected.
If they didn't see my profile picture or something, they will be like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah. That's not what I was expecting, but that's okay. Yeah. But it's again like labeling, like that's how people judge you based on your name and where you come from, and they can make fun of your name.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Even with my previous name, like it was made fun of.
Because you're a
Yeah,
sandwich, darling.
yeah.
Well, that's what I know a Reuben to be, is a sandwich.
Yeah, yeah,
Spelt a
yeah,
little bit differently, but still, yeah.
yeah. When you told me you sent me the pictures, like, yeah, that's definitely not me. No,
No.
can't be even put on a sandwich or in a sandwich.
You might
Yeah.
get delivered. David might deliver you a shit sandwich and tell you what's going
That
on.
you will get for sure. And people
1,000%.
don't like that when you're telling them how honest, like the honest truth, maybe, like the story that they are not winning. And I always ask that to my client.
Mm.
Okay, tell me now, like when they, like they give or they share everything. And I say, because I'm always curious about that, like, what are the stories that you're not telling to the
Mm.
world or to
Mm.
yourself out loud?
Mm.
And that's where people go, well, I don't think you want to know. And I'm like, that's why you're here. That's why you have coaches, right? For you, it's like coaching is like showing you that other part that you don't want to see, that you're not willing to see, just like your trainer are doing, like pushing you to that.
It's exploration, right? It doesn't mean that it's a
Yeah,
permanent part that you always wear, like, a tattoo, or, like you're always willing to show that side of yourself. It's like putting on a different pair of glasses and going, do I like the view from this side? If you don't, that's okay, but at least you've experienced it. You've looked through the lens and gone, did I actually put that lens there or not? Am I full of shit? Am I telling myself absolutely batshit crazy stories, or am I being hard on myself and placing expectations that perhaps shouldn't be there? To have all your shit figured out. Don't have to have it all figured out at all. It's just every day to do best that you can with the level of knowledge that you have. And if you don't feel that you have enough knowledge, go find it. Go ask somebody a question. Ask somebody to be real with you and say, what do you think I need to work on? Ask the person that you love. They know you the best. What bits do you think I hide? What bits do you think I not show up well for? You know, there's always one person that will stack the dishwasher like a IKEA shipping container, getting absolutely everything in there, or there's some crazy numbat that will pack a dishwasher and it will look like shit. So, hello, you're on mute. Why are you on mute?
I was like going on a roll. Oh my God. Yeah. So what I was telling that uh I was like having a chat to myself, I feel. That was so good.
It's like, is he on a phone call? Is there something he's not telling me?
I was saying like now I need to get back on the groove. Let's take a breather. This just happened. I was saying like based on those questions that you asked, I love those questions like what bit do I need to work on? I'm saying like you can ask your mirror as well, like you can just sit with your mirror and just ask yourself if you feel you can't ask anyone else, because that might scare you as well to ask someone else. But when you have the right community, and we talk about that, finding the right people, they will tell you the blunt truth, and but I feel that after that you need still to ask yourself like what bit do I feel that I need to work on. Because I feel that at the end of the day, deep within, we have the answers. So no many how many podcasts or books that you're reading, or you're listening to some other person, you're like, wow, but that information deep within you have that information within you. So it's about taking time, and I know it's going to that time, the holidays period, and I know like for example, Emerge is like already the end of your bodies has been starting like 2 weeks back, and it's like everyone is going into that mode like, oh, we don't have time for that. We don't have time to ask ourselves those deep questions, and everyone will say, well, we'll wait till end of December, set the goals for 2024, and I'm like, no, you have to start now. You have to already start now to think about your 2024, how you want it to look, what bit you need to work on, and set those goals, and sit down with someone that's willing to give their time to listen to you and actually tell you the blunt truth.
Yeah, and
Because I
sometimes
didn't
you know
want
what, it's
to
got to be
label as coach.
somebody other than your immediate circle, because your immediate circle are comfortable with you being a certain way, doing things a certain way, showing up in a certain way. But someone that doesn't know you, literally from a bar of soap, will be able to go, well, why do you do it like that? You know, there's no emotional attachment for you or I when we're working with clients, that we just go, well, why? You know, for someone from an outside perspective, it's really easy to see if someone's being taken advantage of, or if they're bending themselves over backwards and getting no reward for effort, or you know, they're going above and beyond, and you know, thinking that they're getting their cup filled up when actually they're not. So I think that's one of the beauties of, you know, that's why I love working with my coach, because she can see stuff like, you know, whether it be my coach that helps me in my business, and or whether it's my coach that I'm working with to train with in the gym. She's like, you can do more. You can do another 3. I know you can. You can do heavy things. You can do hard things. You carried a baby for 9 months. If you can do that, you can do this.
And I believe you can as well, but it's like that mind. Like for example, in the gym, I use that trick all the time. Like when you're doing the reps, like I'll just like do a counting of 10 and then
Mm-hmm.
10 and then 10, 10, and it's like 100 gone.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't believe it. Like your mind will tell you stop at 10. But it's like, yeah, let's try another 10, and you
Mm.
keep going and keep going. And I feel like in diving into yourself as well, like getting to know yourself, that's where we need that extra push or extra pair set of eyes, like to tell you,
Yes.
well, this is what you might be missing as well. This is what you might be avoiding as well.
These beautiful blunt friends that just go, yeah, nah, that shit. Yeah, why are you worrying? No, that shit. No, don't do that. No, try something else. No, let's have a crack at something else. And you're like,
Yeah. Or work on your business.
yeah, work on your business. Yeah, that sort of stuff. Because I think it's an easy fallback. And particularly for me, I've always been, I love working collaboratively with people, but I've always been the wing person in any business. I've allowed someone else to be front and center and to be the lead singer in your own rock and roll band, with 80,000 screaming people right out in front of you. You're like, it's a challenge. So I don't think that the people sitting here and talking to you every week have got all this shit figured out. We haven't. We're just at a different evolutionary stage, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And we look at it a little bit deeper and more intensely than most people would. We ask a lot more questions, but we're also really good at not asking any. That's why we have amazing friends who go, really, come on, you're full of shit. That's what they're there for, and that's what they're grateful. And we're very grateful to have
Yes,
those.
we are.
I've got 2 Mauritian best friends. I've won the double jackpot. One from the masculine side, one from the feminine side. And I get told in no uncertain terms that I need to do certain things in my life. And I'm like, okay, I'm blessed. I'm very lucky. And I say thank you, thank you, thank you every single day. And I think on that note, my friend, it may be a good opportunity to close out our musings for this morning. Though we could talk forever, as we normally do. Anyway, we should record. We normally talk for an hour before we even start this stuff. So we should record this stuff because I reckon there's some gold in it as well.
Yeah.
Our Netflix specials get aired before we come because there's normally some gold in there or something that we want to talk about. So as we would normally like to close out, we love you. We are extremely grateful for you showing up for us every single week. And go have an amazing week. Try something new. You never know where it's going to lead, right?
Well, thank you, Tina, for another lovely chat, and thank you for the opportunity to share a bit more about myself as well, and to hear more stories about you and getting to know you on a more deeper level. And I feel that the deeper that we are going into those conversations, people as well are going. If they are doing the work, they will go deeper as well. They will be willing to see those sides, and I'm really proud that we have showed up for 28 episodes. Then there's 2 more. We will hit the 30th, and I'm sure we will. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about what's coming next as well. So thank you so much for that, and everyone listening.
I
Thank
also
you
have
so
an
much.
interesting note. If you know of anybody who's really cool to have a conversation with, get them to send they've got a cool story to share or something that you think would be of benefit to the people that listen in to us every week. Get them to send us a message so we can have a conversation and see where we slot them in next year, because it will all be about sharing stories, and getting to know our community, and for us to bring really cool, interesting people on the podcast that will share their golden nuggets of life with you. So if you know of anybody and they're willing to extend themselves and try something new and come and have a chat, we would love to hear from them. So on that note, have fun, take care of yourselves, and we will tune in with you all next week.
Thank you so much. See you.
Bye for now.